Hey guys, welcome back to Honey and Rock. I'm Sophie, and this is William.
Hey guys.
William is my cousin,
I am.
and we're on our beach trip. So if you hear the wind, the ocean, it's because we're on the porch. It's very pretty.
This.
It was just storming, so also if we get up and run, it's because it started raining again.
Yep.
But like, it's pretty at least. So hopefully you can hear us.
Yes.
So our moms are sisters. We were born the same year.
Yeah.
So that was always fun. Growing up, we had somebody the same age. And Anna Campbell was also born in '06, so it's just like the three of us. And this is our family vacation.
Yeah.
It's crazy and fun and overwhelming and hectic and
That's
sweet.
Fun. Yeah.
And it's really is actually sweet. And this is probably the quietest it's been for a long time now that we're up here.
That's true.
So anyways, I'm gonna have William share his testimony. It's been really cool. Like, obviously I've grown up with him our whole lives, and so it's been sweet to like watch him pursue the Lord and like see what's going on in his life and still pursuing the Lord. But I'm excited to hear it all like boom at once.
All at once.
So you can start wherever.
Okay, cool. I'll start way back.
Okay.
Just kind of get a broad overview of my life. So when I was about 4 years old, my mom and dad divorced. So that was, right when I turned 4, right around that time. And honestly, it wasn't a horrible thing that they divorced at that time. I say that kind of bittersweetly. Like my vision of marriage is long term. It's permanent. Divorce is not really an option, I think, in that stage. But at the same time, my parents weren't super strong believers. My dad was an atheist before that time, and so getting into marriage, they weren't really in the same worldview. Jumping into marriage, and eventually kind of tore them apart. It wasn't super healthy, and sadly, I got to see kind of that last bit of marriage where it was just really unstable, a lot of conflict, and that was frustrating. So the fact that they divorced wasn't a horrible thing for me.
Right.
That wasn't the hard part because there was already so much conflict that when there was a separate household, that conflict kind of went away in some ways, and that didn't feel horrible. Hardest part was managing with the stress of not having a parent half the time, and then same being the other parent. Just because every child is used to having at least 2 parents, or I mean, some aren't, but most want that, and most are used to that. So pulling away from that was the most difficult part.
Yeah.
I think that led to a lot of just turmoil and conflict growing up. I think relationships are really hard for me, and still are in some ways. Conflict management and things like that don't come naturally because it wasn't represented super well growing up in that little span of time, which was like, as a psychology major now, learning how important those first 4 years are, and just seeing that obviously did something, I don't know, subconsciously. But the light from that, the silver lining, is that my dad found Christ very soon after that and hit the ground running. He used to work for graphic design, and shortly after that, he jumped into ministry, and that's where he's been since that time. Still now he's working in ministry. So went from having an atheist dad and a mom that was trying to pursue God in that relationship, in that atheist relationship, which is very difficult, to having a dad that was very indulged and very just like head after heels for God, while having a mom that was also struggling with the divorce, along with me, working with her, not just emotionally, but you got to think like single mom, job, providing for me, just all the stuff that has to go with that. So that's a lot of the like prequel to me growing up. But a little chaotic, but I've gotten a lot more used to it now. But just growing into that, like hearing the gospel was something that happened around my 5 or 6 year old lifespan. I mean, my dad had been in ministry for about a year by then, and that's when I started kind of asking those questions. Silver lining, or not silver lining, but like the, I guess, brass tacks of it was like Um, Heaven's good, hell's bad.
Right.
You want to go to heaven, you don't want to go to hell.
Yep.
And I could comprehend that, and I didn't want to go to hell.
Right.
No one wants to go to hell.
Right.
And so the solution is getting baptized and following Jesus.
Yeah.
And as a 6-year-old, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's really simple.
Right.
When you hear that Jesus created everything, that Jesus died for us and took all our sins,
Right.
like as a 6-year-old, that's the truth. Yes, yes.
Right.
Accepted it.
Yeah.
Went with it. Didn't know exactly what that meant, but
Yeah.
I did the things and kind of went on believing that. And it wasn't until about my middle school years that I kind of wrestled with that a little bit more.
I remember when you were baptized.
Yeah.
Your dad baptized you, right?
He did. Yep.
Yep. I remember that.
I think when I was 6, right around 6. That was cool. That was awesome.
Crazy that I remember that, because I would have also been like being 6 years old and remembering that. But I remember that it was like a circle tough.
Yeah.
At that church.
Yeah, I think it was in a hotel too.
Yeah.
We didn't have a church yet, so we were working at that. I think it was Marriott.
Yeah.
But
Sorry.
No,
now middle school.
Segue, middle school. So, I'd say repercussions of divorce and growing up in that was people pleasing, looking for attention from my guy friends, but also wanting a partner. It's something that like I think everyone does want, but like I thought it was a solution. I thought it would make me happy.
You
so
really
something that
wanted
is
it.
really desired, really struggled with.
Yeah.
And when you focus so much on those things, and whenever you let those things be the things that identify you, the things that make you who you are, you kind of lose that sense of self because you let everyone else reflect themselves on you. You let everyone else show you what they want you to be.
Yeah, you become what you think other people want from you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which can make you feel really anxious, can make you feel really almost empty, because what are you if you're everyone else's perception of you?
Right.
So I mean, just growing up with a lot of turmoil on that, and then also starting to question a lot of things like, how did God do this? Why does God do this and this happens? You know what I mean? Questions of evil, questions of just creation, science, and stuff like that.
Even like, how did a good God let this bad thing happen to my family?
Sure.
In that sense too.
And those questions, I mean, they still don't go away.
Right.
But I wouldn't say I was really able to answer those questions till my probably senior year of high school. Yeah. I mean, I really struggled with that for a long time. But in around 6th, 7th grade, I kind of took that step of faith, a leap of faith, to fully devote my life to Jesus.
Right.
Now that I kind of understood what that meant, I did. It was a salvation, and I did get baptized twice, which I don't think necessarily had to happen, but I did want to make that step, like that proclamation for myself that yes, I am.
Or have the baptism on the right side of your salvation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Which like I did have that salvation when I was like 6.
Right.
But this was like me older, more aware, more conscious, more understanding of life in itself, making that decision.
Really surrendering.
Exactly. Yeah. And wanting to make that public. Because I want to have a record of me making that decision and getting baptized. I gave that my dad. So that was really awesome. But continued into that. And I'd say, I mean, that was about as rocky as middle school can get.
Right.
Going into high school. Yeah. Still struggle with the same things.
Yeah.
Lust was one of those things. Yeah. And relationships, another one of those things, like trying to seek happiness in relationships, either with guy friends or seeking female relationships and stuff like that, and just kind of toss back and forth with working really hard to like love God and be loved by God, and then also working really hard to do the right things with other people. Just a lot of like white knuckling through life. That, I mean, it's kind of how I perceived it to be. And also being frustrated and kind of letting those reins go a little bit whenever it would be too hard. So it'd be burnout, and I kind of let the sin enter because why not?
Try to do it by yourself.
Exactly. And pattern kind of went up and down. My end of sophomore year, beginning of junior year of high school, was really invested in this relationship, and honestly let that be a really big idol for me, just for my life alone. I was able to kind of put God on the back burner to focus on this relationship. Right. And it ended up just absorbing a lot of my emotions, a lot of my thoughts. Yeah. And not that a relationship can't necessarily do that in a sense. Right. It just wasn't healthy because God was not in the center of it whatsoever. He was kind of just like the plate analogy. He was the little portion on the side of the plate.
It was like another
and
thing.
That relationship took up a lot of it, and that relationship didn't end up working out.
Right.
And once I put all my eggs in a basket, and it didn't work out, I mean, I was kind of left empty-handed. I didn't know what to do at that point.
Right.
And that was probably one of the lowest times I've been, probably since that like middle school era, because I was able to kind of scrape by just kind of being a lukewarm Christian.
Yeah.
And then investing all my time in that new relationship.
Yeah.
Now that I was gone, again, that my identity wasn't there.
Right.
And just kind of back to ground zero.
Yep.
Thankfully, this time I was just surrounded by so many good people. My dad really encouraged me to get like plugged into these groups and find these people prior to that relationship not working out.
Right.
And that safety net was a lot more healthy falling back on that.
Right.
And one of those people was my friend from high school, Jacqueline, who just a really good friend at that time, and pointed me towards God when I was really frustrated at God.
Right.
And that kind of went on for a few months of just frustrated, trying to figure out what was going on, how come this and that.
Right.
And honestly, arguing in the car with Jacqueline for hours on end because I understand why God would do this or do that.
Right.
She just kept like telling me to like focus and try my best to just open my arms up and ask God the questions instead of just asking other people and being mad and not getting the answers.
Right.
And so,
I think something about being a Christian and like feeling frustrated at God or doubting God, it feels almost wrong.
Right.
But it's like what you do with your frustration and what you do with your doubt is where like it can be good or bad.
100%,
and like when I felt frustrated at God and just been like, why God? Like why this? Why am I hurt again? Why? Or like doubting like how did a good God let this happen? Or how did God create this? Like all these like doubts or frustrations. And I found myself get in trouble when I brought them to everyone else.
Right.
Without bringing it to God. But then I found it being like something that pulled me closer to Jesus when I brought it to him.
Oh yeah.
And then also bringing it to community and a good community. I think that's a gift as well. But also bringing it to Jesus first and being like, alrighty, I don't get this.
Right.
My hands are open. I don't want them to be open. I want to white knuckle and close my fist again. And I want to push my way through it and be okay on my own.
Yeah.
But then it's like, actually, like my hands are open. Here is all of my doubts and all of my questions. Now bring me closer to your son in this. And I think Christians are afraid of that. And it almost feels like shame comes along with it. It's like, okay, well, I'm not a perfect Christian, or I'm struggling with this again, or I'm doubting this, or I'm frustrated at this. It's like, oh, well, you're a bad Christian. It's like, no, bring it to Jesus.
Right.
And so I like that she encouraged you to do that as well.
100%. Yeah, I think a good representation of that in the Bible is the difference between Judas and Thomas, where Judas is obviously doubting the long-term, plan for Jesus, thinking that if he is to portray Jesus, that he's going to succeed a lot more long-term than if he's to not. And Thomas doubting that, Jesus has really been resurrected, that it's really him. And so Judas going to the Pharisees, going to the Jews to persecute Jesus, to eventually turn him in, and Thomas going immediately to Jesus, like which one succeeded. And Thomas, like everyone gives him a bad rap for being the doubter, but like Jesus like lets him touch his hands.
Show me your hands.
And he does, and he shows him those parts of himself, and shows him like the things that can show him himself, and then says like you doubted me, and I'm here. I can show you these things. That blessed are the people that won't see me and will still believe in me. And so like understanding that even like at that age was just like,
that's so good.
Mind blowing, because
like go to God and ask him to show your hands.
And he
will. Like,
will.
Lord, show me your
He
hands,
will.
please.
Exactly.
That's so good.
And because we're not perfect, we're like we can't understand everything. And when we go to God, when we truly go to God, he shows us those things as a loving father. Other people will get frustrated at us, and even call us doubters and stuff like that because we don't understand those things. But how much better is it to doubt and ask God and receive than to doubt and do that like undercover and hide and then just stay that way. So I'm so glad that I did ask those questions, and I did wrestle, and I did have that conflict, because eventually I started reading a book called Providence by John Piper. it just underlined all this like really super in-depth theology of like sin exists for this reason, and
Right.
like and Jesus allows sin to exist so that we
Gosh.
can grow
Yeah.
closer to Him. Like that's just crazy to think
Right.
about. But it's thoughts that like why does evil exist? Where do I exist within these two like tensions?
Things. Yeah.
And how do I grow closer to Jesus with that?
Right.
Just I mean,
Gosh.
life
That's good.
changing in that, and
Right.
just kind of spurred up my faith again. And
Yeah.
I'd say that's when I got really, um, I don't know, devout. Just started
Right.
reading a lot more.
Yeah.
Um, Eventually chose to go to Anderson University. Um, Throughout that time, there's a lot of conflict there. Like, wanted to go to USC, wanted to go to AU. And there's nothing wrong with like you're going to Furman.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with going to public university.
Right.
But I knew that I wasn't strong enough in my faith
Mm.
to withstand that,
Right.
and I needed that teaching because I was already
Yeah.
so like I was still so young and so
Right.
like vulnerable in my
Yeah.
faith that I needed something
Yeah.
to kind of reinforce it.
Right.
So I'm really glad that I eventually chose to go to AU.
Right.
And since then, like just been like diving into theology. We
Yeah.
have to kind of in
Right.
that like curriculum
Yeah.
look into that kind of stuff, and that's helped me more.
Yeah.
Reading my Bible and just reaping more out of that.
Yeah.
Kind of back to the like white knuckling. The reason why that just wasn't working is because it's not how we're designed. Like the reason why we can't love like Jesus loves by trying harder
Right.
is because it's not how we're designed to love.
Right.
And that kind of switched for me. Like we are meant to sit under God's love and just
Right.
like accept all of
Receive,
His
yeah.
love. First Corinthians 13, I think it's 4
Yeah.
through 7. It's like love is patient, love is kind. Like love doesn't envy or boast,
Yeah.
not self like
Right.
it's all these things, and like we're like, yeah, love is this, love is this. So
Right.
if I do this, then I can get this, and I can get
Right.
this. No, like I think a beautiful vision of it, and this is in a book that I've read recently, was like Jesus is patient, Jesus is kind,
Yeah.
Jesus is understanding, Jesus
Right.
does not like envy us.
Right.
We envy Him. Like He
Right.
gives us all these things
Yeah.
as we let Him be that for us.
Right.
The more that we can be that for others.
Will become that.
Right.
Yeah. We were even talking about this on the beach yesterday or 2 days ago, and we were saying like we don't earn love,
Right.
and that's something I struggled with a
Right.
lot, especially first year in college. Being like, oh, I have to earn people's love. I have
Right.
to earn friendship love. I have to earn a boy's love. I have to earn my parents' love.
Yep.
And once I realized I don't earn Jesus's love,
Right.
all of a sudden my eyes were open to this thing of like, I don't earn all these other people's love.
Yeah.
And I had these like people pleasing tendencies and self pleasing tendencies as well. And then all of a sudden my eyes were open, and it wasn't just like a struggle that went away. But
Sure.
once I realized being like, Jesus died for me
Yeah.
before I was born, and knowing all of my sin and all
Yeah.
of my struggles, and He still chose to die for me. And so it's like I didn't earn His love, so then why would I have to earn all of these other people's love?
Yeah.
And it's just so freeing.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
like here I am,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna draw closer to Jesus and love Jesus more and get to know Jesus more, and in return from that, He's gonna overflow my cup, and
Yeah.
goodness and mercy are gonna follow me all the days of my life.
Yeah.
And then we get to dwell in the house of the Lord forever, and that's what we get as this in return. That's where our reward is.
Yeah.
And like how often we try to find that in earthly things.
Yep.
And then we're reminded like the suffering that we see now is going to be nothing compared to the glory that's revealed to us in heaven. And so it's like these sufferings that we have, this, I had to grow up in a divorced family of going one way to another way and seeing conflict and seeing hardships, and like then struggling with trying to please people and wanting
Sure.
friends and wanting approval, and then like lust comes in and all these things that you struggle with. But then it's like all of this suffering is worth it.
Yep.
If it's drawing me closer to Jesus.
Yep.
Because the glory that's going to be revealed to us in heaven as believers, I'm not even going to remember.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, oh, the conflict that happened at this time.
Yeah.
Who cares anymore? Like, you're in the presence of Jesus.
Right.
And I think I have to remember that and not lose sight of eternity, because once I lose sight of eternity, the sin and the brokenness of our world seems so big.
Yep.
But then once I put it inside of eternity, it's really not that big.
Sure. Yeah. And like even if you look at Sermon on the Mount, where like simple things like food and clothing, like Jesus is saying, don't the sparrows get like food, and they don't even store in barns.
Right.
Don't the lilies get clothed more beautifully than
Yeah.
man can? And like they'll get thrown into the fire tomorrow, right? And how much more valuable are we than them? So it's like back to that verse, back to like First Corinthians and stuff like that. Like we just can soak in the fact that like Jesus was so patient with us, and he's so kind with us. He clothes us and he feeds us. Like to count those blessings and to really look at it, like that's what makes you want to love other people. Because when someone is being like super annoying, like it's easy for me at least to be like, you should stop being annoying. Like let's fix that.
Stop,
But how many times has Jesus sat there while I have been annoying or cursed him or used his name in vain or sinned whenever like I knew it was wrong and stuff like that, and he sat there and waited for me to just come back and to love on me. Like why can't I love other people like that? Why would it be fair for me to treat someone like that when I have been treated so well? So it's just like even amongst all that like sin, there's still so much of it like that Jesus just pours out on us daily that we hardly even take account of that.
Yeah, and we love because he first loved us.
Oh, for sure.
You saying that reminded me of just like his provision and how he provides. And like in these questions and doubt and frustration and all of these sins that we struggle with, like how he provides. And I just read, I guess it was probably a month or two ago now, when they were in the wilderness and Jesus like sent down manna, but he was like, only get what you need for this day. But on Saturday or whatever day it was, you take twice as much because you're going to need it for Sunday, and I don't want you working then. And or whatever day it was, maybe Saturday. But I think how often, like I was like, would I have only picked up one day? Like after been so hungry, what if I snuck a little extra in my bag? But then it's like, do I trust enough that he's actually going to provide for the next day? And whatever that is, provide the love that I need, or provide the care or the guidance or the wisdom or the fatherly love or the like connection. Like, am I trusting that he's going to provide that for me? Or am I going to selfishly go seek it out everywhere else just in case he forgets? Like, he hasn't forgotten yet, so why would he forget now? But I think that this probably goes into like we want to control. And when you see hardship in life, you think you can control to not let it happen again. And so it's like, okay, well, if I have this many friends, this won't happen again. So I'm going to grab. When Jesus was like, actually, just be still. I'm the best friend you could have ever had. And I'm going to provide. So just trust me. And I think that's really hard to do, but it's really sweet to like hear stories and just be reminded of that and be like, okay, this is something that we can rest in. We can rest in his love. And trust that he's going to help me love others well.
For sure.
And when I fall short, he's going to still pick me up and take me again. That's so good. Booyah.
Booyah.
What does your quiet time look like?
It begins and ends in the day of like, I'll wake up, usually with a short prayer. Like just thanking God for this day. Thank you that I'm alive, that I just woke up and I'm breathing. Usually, hopefully, that I got good sleep. That's not always the case, but just a quick prayer. And for the day, like I pray for this for the day. Depends on like kind of what day it is. And sometimes that will initiate quiet time in the morning. My day can kind of be skewed depending on like work and stuff like that. But I try to do my quiet time in the morning. Like we're on vacation, it doesn't always super probable. So between that day, I'll do my quiet time, which just means opening up the Word. Right now, I'm on a new the New Testament plan, so it's not that long. It's just like a chapter, maybe half a chapter a day. But just really diving into that portion. Right now, we're in John. It's just really cool to hear Jesus speaking. And I was speaking before he was about to be crucified. So it's just really deep stuff. Read that, and then I do something called a soap. So I write out like one piece of scripture that really stood out to me. I write my observation from that scripture, my application from that scripture, and it's just a quick little prayer. Usually praying over what I just read and praying that I can apply it. And then that's usually the end of my quiet time. And then before I fall asleep, like I usually have a prayer where I pray through my family. I'll pray oldest, youngest, include myself in the middle there.
Yeah.
Just things that I'm thankful for those family members, but also things that I'm hoping for and things I'm praying for those members.
Gosh, that's good.
And then also just like friends and family are involved in that. Like, usually at the end, like I'll involve people that are also important in my life that I want to pray for. So.
Yeah, that's really good. I like to ask that because I think there's not one way to do it right.
Sure.
And there's seasons where it looks different or it's harder. Like I'm in a season right now where it's really hard for me. And I'm like, what am I reading?
Right.
But then I had parts of last year where I just like couldn't stop. Like I just wanted more and more and more. And so I like to hear it sometimes from people where it's like, it's okay if it's not this perfect thing.
Sure.
But also a routine is really important.
Yeah.
If we want to. Because sometimes it's not fun.
Yeah.
So when you have that routine, it helps.
Yeah. And by no means am I 100% consistent on that.
No one is.
I try my best to be...
I try my worst to do it.
Yeah. No, I try my best to be consistent.
Yeah.
But it's a struggle.
It is hard.
But I notice that the days I don't have it, I'm more curmudgeon-y and upset.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been ed. I haven't got that.
What's that verse where it's like, why are you trying to drink milk?
Yeah.
When you should be eating meat. Something like that.
That.
It's like, you're not a baby anymore. Why are you trying to drink milk?
Right. Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I should open up the word.
Yeah.
Stop trying to drink from dry wells when the living water's right in front of you.
Boom. Which is the hardest part, yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
For sure. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Love ya. Proud of you. It's fun to watch you. Love Jesus.
Likewise.
I'm always encouraged by you.
Same.
And thank you guys for listening. I hope the ocean wasn't too loud.
Yeah.
The sun is really bright.
We got the pretty view. We get to see the ocean
and
stuff.
We get to see the ocean.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming on.
Of course.
See you guys next week.
See you guys.
Bye.